Welcome back, and it is time to get the interview segment. On today's bulletin, and it's all about golf, the Kenya Open Golf Championship. This year it's known as the Magical Kenya Open. It is a tournament that has been elevated from a European Challenge Tour event to a full European Tour event. If you just think of a name like Thomas Bjorn coming to play in Kenya, then you're talking about one of the best golfers in the world. We're talking about Ryder Cup material coming to play at Karen. It's going to take place from the 14th to the 17th of March. And this year, Kenya is going to have 18 golfers, 12 amateurs, and 12 professionals and 6 amateurs. And to speak about that, I've got the captain of the professional golfers of Kenya, Shege John Wangai. Everyone in the golfing circle simply knows him as CJ Wangai. Wangai, thank you for joining us on KBC Channel 1.
Asante Wahome.
Yes, and let's start. It's been quite an interesting journey for the professional golfers. 7 tournaments through the Safari Tour.
Yes.
How was it like from when you played the first tournament in Nyali and playing the last round of that series in Karen?
I think basically Wahome, it has been a good journey. And I think this is what most of us as professionals in the country have been looking for. And I think more than any other year is that this year we are very well prepared. Safari Tour has given us a base whereby we have trained, we have worked hard, we've prepared. And I think more than anything else is that we've gone around the country, different courses, giving us different challenge. So it has given us a good preparation for the Open.
And let's talk about it. When you first played this event, one of the things that was introduced were European Tour rules to it. What was it like for you playing at Nyali with a set of rules that kept were new to some of the players, and you just had to keep checking them?
I think basically is that most of the rules, yes, they were introduced during a Nyali event. But I think generally under the Professional Golfers of Kenya, the association itself as PGK, we try to make sure that we play under the rules as they are played out there. Although I can say is that there were a few rules that were added up, like the one-ball rule, which we never had before.
Okay, what's the one-ball rule?
So the one-ball rule basically says that the type of ball that you start with in your round one, you have to go with it along and finish it, that complete event with that one type of ball. So, and I can tell you along the way, we've seen guys being disqualified because of such a rule. But I think where we've reached now, as we went through Rimuru, we went through Vet Club, now even up to Karen, I think all of us now, we are all able to understand what the rules in the European Tour are all about. And I think all of us now, none of us has a problem. I think we've all understood what we are supposed to do as far as the rules are concerned. So
let's just clarify on this one-ball rule, because it's quite interesting. It's like being told that if you start with a certain brand of shoes in standard 1, then until Form 4 you go with it. It means that if you pick a particular brand or a particular color of ball, what does it mean?
Okay, basically one-ball rule means that when you pick a particular brand of ball, you have to stick to that brand of ball until you finish the round that you're playing. So basically this is just to bring, just to make sure that there is transparency, just to make sure that everything is clear from the time you start. Because I know we had instances whereby guys used to change balls along the way. But that one there used never to be transparency, because you could find that there are people who used to have the same number of balls, the same number, the same type, the same number, and therefore you could not know. When somebody loses a ball, you never know if it is the ball that he has lost or it is another ball that he has dropped. So basically the one-ball rule is one brand of ball throughout the round until you finish the event.
How many are you supposed to have in a bag when you're playing around?
It all depends with you. You can have as many as you can, but again it depends. If you're a good player, maybe you're looking at average using a ball per round. Maybe on that day if you don't lose a ball. But basically, like myself in my bag, I have 8 to 12 golf balls.
Wow. That's a whole load of them.
Yep.
And the other thing that you've got to understand is now playing with a whole different media environment. Yes. How has that changed for you? Because the European Tour involves a lot of television, so you've got to get used to cameras all around you.
I think the organizers of Safari Tour, which for this matter I would like to thank the Kenya Open Golf Limited, they are trying to create to us an environment like what will be in the European Tour. And since the Safari Tour started, we have seen media guys following us, taking videos, taking photos. This in our mind or mentally, it's preparing us. And I think most of us now have gotten used to it. And I think it would be something new at Karen during the Open. I think we have been prepared, both on the course and outside the course, mentally and also practical.
Something I heard this Mazindiza say about, I know he's headed towards the senior tour. He's not as young as he was, but he's still playing some good golf.
Yeah.
Nachapa mpira kama kijana, hii physiotherapy. How much is that helping you?
I think basically we are different. And the way Ndiza came up as a golfer, for him is that he's hard hitting. And that's where the joy is, and that's what makes him play better. But I think basically even if the AGS is catching up, but I think there's still that power in him. He still has that prowess just to play more and more better. I think we won't just tell him in this now it's ready for you to join seniors. I think he still have a way to go. There's still about 4 or 5 years for him still to play and compete better. But as we come to the young boys, there's still a bit of power, because you need to be aggressive, especially when you're playing the professional ranks. You need to be a bit of aggressive. You need a bit of power. You need a bit of strength. You need a bit of stamina. So maybe as he says that he's hitting the ball like a kijana, is because he still has the stamina. I believe so. He still has the stamina, and he still has what it takes, even to win the Kenya Open. And
going through the golfers that were Kenyan golfers who've qualified, there's Gregson of Muthaiga. He won the Order of Merit for the Safari Tour. There's Dismas Ndiza. And let's talk about the wins pair of David Opati and Riz Charania.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about those two?
First, I would say that Riz Charania has been a seasoned player. He's one of the best players we have in Kenya under the professionals. Just that maybe there was a time he was a bit busy because of work. But if you follow him closely, this is a guy who has gone out even to try and play in European tour events. So this is a seasoned player. He's a guy who's always in form. And I think with Kenya Open coming up, I know he has really prepared for it. And we saw him winning even the Windsor leg of the Safari Tour. And I can tell you he shot an aggregate of under par at Windsor. Being the conditions that were there, I can tell you he played really well. So he's one of the best players, and we are looking forward for him playing well in the Kenya Open. Coming to David Opati, I usually call him Maruki, because he has missed some of the legs in the Safari Tour. But basically now you can see him that he came in, just did a few of the tour, and he got in. Opati is one guy who always wants to keep his ball in play. He's not an aggressive player, but he's a player who usually knows what he's doing. He keeps his balls in play, and then what happens is that at the end of the day, he's scoring. So, and current the way I know it, being a short course, it will favor somebody like Opati. He's a guy who will keep his ball in play. He knows how to work out his short game. He knows how to calculate his chipping and putting. Okay. So basically, he is a good player.
David Waku and Tonio Muli, the golf park duo.
David Waku and Tonio Muli, these are also very strong players. And in terms that, one, we saw Waku winning the first leg, that is in Nyali. He's a hard worker. When I say he's a hard worker, he's a guy who's always training. He's a guy who's always on the range. The only thing that we need is that determination, because Waku and Tonio Muli, these are people who have been working together at the golf park. They've been training together. And you see, when you're training as a team, is better than training individually. So we have a lot of hope with these guys. I have a lot of hope with Tonio Muli. He's a guy who always, as I'm saying, just like David Opati, he's a guy who wants to keep his ball in play. He's not looking much for distance, but he's looking much for scoring. So this is a hot duo, I might call them like that.
Well, I'll tell you this, CJ is telling us all of these things, and you know what? It's going to be broadcast, the Kenya Open Golf Championship. So everything he says, if you pick these Kenyans, look out for those traits in them. Another one who's qualified, Nelson Seymour, Vet Club.
Nelson Seymour, an aggressive player. He qualified, he came in last. And I can say if we were just to tap the mind of Nelson Seymour, just keep it cool during the 4 rounds at Karen. This is a person who has a capability of winning Kenya Open, because he is an aggressive player. And we usually say that Tiger Woods was able to win so many majors that nobody has won even up to now because of his aggressiveness. So Seymour is one of the kind. He's a guy who is very aggressive. We just need to keep his mind cool. But he's a very good player.
How do you do that? And you try keeping cool on the course, because no round of golf is like any other.
Yes, true. But basically what happens is that every player knows his way of maintaining his calmness. Because basically, Wahome, you won't go out there and play all the holes that they're coming out the way you want. There's basically one hole that will just knock you off. But you have to understand, you have to know yourself, you have to know how to calm. So every player knows that. So even for Seymour, what we are saying here and what I'm saying is, he just needs to know how to calm, how to keep himself cool. And this guy can play.
This is something that has been spoken about for 5, 6, 7, 8 years by the Kenya Open Golf Limited directors, especially when they saw somebody come here with a psychologist and win. Are you getting any help to, for example, like to help Simwa calm down when he's out there? Professional help from outside.
I think we did one last year. We had a guy who came, who talked to us. Unfortunately, this year, because of time and everything, we are not able to do that. But basically, I think under the training that we are going, and I think, as I'm saying, the way Safari Tour has prepared us, it has prepared us even mentally. So I think most of us are now able now to go on cooling. Most of us are understanding how to handle pressure, how to handle tension in and out of the course. So I think basically we are expecting a better Simwa than he was 2-3 years back.
All right. Simon Ngige of Thika.
Simon Ngige of Thika is one of the talented boys we have in the country. If you go back, you can see Simon Ngige, in fact, is a guy who made cut last year in the Kenya Open and even the previous year. So he is a good player. We're just looking at him. I can remember we were talking with him at the current leg. And he was telling me this week I have to get back again to the range. I need to work on a few things. So Ngige is one of the best professionals we have in the country. This is a guy who has played in the Sunshine Tour. He has gone even spent over a year in Australia playing golf in college. So this is also a talented player. And we have a lot of hope.
Then those are the ones who qualified at the end of the Windsor leg. Then 3 others qualified. Eric Ooko, Justice Madoya. And then you mentioned to me that Jacob Okello is now one of the 12 Kenyans.
Yes, he is.
The 3, Ooko of Royal Nairobi, Madoya from Great Rift, and Jacob Okello from Golf Park.
I'll start with Madoya. Madoya is a guy who joined professional ranks just the other day. But I would say that he's a person who has a lot of hard work. He's committed. He's training hard. And basically, we're expecting good results from him. Eric Ooko, he's a guy from Royal Nairobi Golf Club. He's also he's a guy who has hard work. He's a guy who's always on the range. He's a guy who's trying to better and improve his game. This is a guy who has gone out to Namibia, has gone out to Zimbabwe, has gone out to South Africa to play the Sunshine Tour. So we are also expecting a lot from him. And I can say that with golf, we're expecting best from everyone. And if it clicks, that's what we're saying, if it clicks, then it will be a good day for all of us. Jacob Okello, all of us, I think we know the history. This is a guy who came close in winning Kenya Open. And I always say that this guy was #1 because they were all tied at that #1. It's just that we had to have a winner. But basically, Jacob Okello and the guy who won, they were both #1. So history goes back to Jacob, and he's trying much to always come back and see if he can have a chance of winning the Kenya Open.
The 6 amateurs were going to be there. I'll mention one last. First of all, let me start with Daniel Nduva from Nyali.
Daniel Nduva has been on form. This is a guy who has been in South Africa for the whole of this year and last year. So we're also expecting, and he has won even in what we call the TGSC School of Golf, that is in South Africa. He's one of the top students there. So we're expecting better results from him this year.
Edwin Mudanyi and Mike Kisia?
Edwin Mudanyi and Mike Kisia is a duo from VetLab. These are one of the best amateurs we have in the country. And I believe with the practice they do, with the hard work they have, with the discipline they have, they're able to bring what we expect from them as amateurs.
Mutahi Kibugu and Bradley Mogire, the 2 youngsters.
Mutahi Kibugu, this is a junior from Muthaiga Golf Club. He has also been working hard on his game since he was a young junior. And I think he has what it takes, because he's a guy who goes out there just carelessly, just to try and play the golf the way it would come. And that's the mind, that's the way it should be. Bradley, on the other hand, this is a very aggressive player, very aggressive, I can say that. This is a guy who doesn't fear. He's a guy who goes for it. And at the back of it is that he's a good player. So we're expecting to see better results from him. I think it'll be better.
Finally, your brother Samuel Njoroge.
Yeah. I think as we grow, or we grew in a golf environment. And therefore, coming to Samuel, he's currently the best amateur we have in the country.
Yes.
And I think he's on form. Right now, as we are talking, he's leading the Sigona Bowl. This is a GOAT event that's currently ongoing at Sigona. We'll be finishing tomorrow. And I think within the past few months, he has been traveling. He's gone to Qatar Masters, where he made the cut. He's gone to Nigeria. He's won the Lagos Open.
Yes.
So he has been on form, I can say that. He has won a few GOAT events before. And I think through the hard work that he's putting in, and of course, he's also under the training and under the coach of the national junior coach, Coach John. It's called John Riffrand. I think Samuel has what it takes to make it through into this year's Kenya Open. Being his first Kenya Open and being informed that he is, I believe he's a guy to watch.
All right.
in this Open.
Now, for you golfers, we are looking at the golfers who are going to come from the European Tour. These people work with their own caddies. How are you going to select your caddies? The people who carry your golf bags for you?
I think basically for each and every one of us, we have caddies that we train with currently. We have caddies that we've been going with in the Safari Tour leg. I think when it comes to that time, you need a guy who you are free with, a guy who understands you, a guy who knows when you're down and when you're up. So I think all of us who are playing Kenya Open, at this time of the moment, we all know the caddies that we are going to use. Some of us are going to use fellow professionals to caddy for us, because immediately when you get into that tournament stage, immediately when you get to that tee box, your thinking narrows down. So you need a person who can think to the level of a profession. So I believe each and every one of the professionals out there, the amateurs who are going to play in the Kenya Open, they all made a decision. They have made a decision as far as caddying is concerned.
And finally, the current course, it's been changed. It's not the usual number 1 to 9 and then go to the 10th round to the 18th.
Yes.
It's going to change.
Yes.
I think in the number 1, they had the tournament director, Patrick Obat, say it's going to start at the 13th.
Yes.
That's going to be number 1.
Yes.
So basically, it's not the normal flow of the course. How has that changed, the way you're playing?
I think, and I'd say, again, I would thank the Kenya Open Golf Limited, because when we were playing the Safari Tour, the current leg, they gave us the course the way to be during the Open. Within they changed the new pattern now. So right now, you're starting, the hole number 1 will be hole number 13. And I think basically for us as professionals, we are looking at hole 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 as tough holes. And I think starting with the tough holes when you're still strong, when you're still cool, when your mind is still fresh, it's an advantage to us. So I think having played the current leg there, having played 4 rounds of golf in the new pattern, I think all of us gotten used to what it is. And I think we are liking it this time than the way it was before. Because the way it was before, you could start with easy holes and then end with the tough holes. But this time it is the other way around. So you're facing the tough holes where you're still strong or you're still fresh. And therefore it gives you more energy to recover even when you reach the easier holes.
All right. So out of the 18, about how many would you look at making the cut?
We are looking at about 8 making the cut. 8 to 10 making the cut.
That's half the contingent.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Karibu.
Wangai, we wish you all the best at the Kenya Open Golf Championship.
Asante.
And yeah, keep working on your game.
Yes.
I know this time around, I've read somewhere that Greg's they feel that he's a threat, but anybody can be a threat. You've had the description of the entire contingent of Kenyans who are going to be playing at the Kenya Open Golf Championship at the Current Country Club from the 14th to the 17th of this month. And remember, the prize money, it's doubled from 550,000 euros to 1.1 million euros. Convert that into Kenya shillings, that's about 125 million. So you can see how much money is at stake here. And all eyes from Europe, as far as the golfing scene is concerned, will be on Kenya for 4 days. So that's our interview, and back to you, Purity.